Intel versus AMD. If you're looking for a processor, you can choose between two brands. These are Intel and AMD. The Intel 9th generation dominated the market for a long time, but it has been a neck-and-neck race ever since AMD brought out its 3rd generation Ryzen processors. Can't decide between an Intel Core i3 and an AMD Ryzen 3 CPU? Or between i9 and Ryzen 9? We'll explain the differences to you. Basic. Intel Core i3 versus AMD Ryzen 3. Do you mainly use your computer for basic tasks like sending emails, watching Netflix, and browsing the internet? Have a look at an i3 or Ryzen 3 processor. These belong to the basic segment. An Intel i3 has 4 cores and a clock speed of up to 4.6 GHz, which makes it more powerful than the AMD version. The Ryzen 3 has a clock speed of 4 GHz. Mid-range. Intel Core i5 versus AMD Ryzen 5. The Intel Core i5 and AMD Ryzen 5 processors are part of the mid-range segment. They allow you to play average games and work in Photoshop. AMD Ryzen 5 processors are generally slightly less powerful than i5 processors. They have a clock speed of up to 4.4 GHz, compared to the 4.6 GHz of the i5. But they do have twice as many threads. The AMD Ryzen 5 3600 also stands out thanks to a very low power consumption of 65 W. High-end. Intel Core i7 versus AMD Ryzen 7. An Intel Core i7 or AMD Ryzen 7 processor is suitable for creative professionals, enthusiastic gamers, and anyone who uses their computer intensively. These powerful processors belong to the high-end segment. The i7 processors have fewer cores and threads, but a higher clock speed than the Ryzen 7. This is especially useful when you often use one application, like a game. The AMD Ryzen 7 is better for multitasking, like when you edit a video. Pro. Intel Core i9 versus AMD Ryzen 9. The Intel Core i9 and the AMD Ryzen 9 are the best of the best among processors. These processors are ideal for die-hard gamers and professional designers. An Intel i9 processor has a high clock speed of 5 GHz, combined with a relatively low wattage. This allows you to overclock it even further. A Ryzen 9 processor has a lower clock speed than an i9, but it has lot more cores. The Ryzen 9 is the most powerful processor. Conclusion. Intel remains king when it comes to clock speed. For very fanatic gamers, this can certainly be an advantage. AMD has the upper hand when it comes to cores and threads. An AMD Ryzen is often slightly more affordable than an Intel Core processor, except in the Pro segment. Which processor you choose will depend on brand preference, but choose one that suits your needs above all. If you're working and playing on a desktop, or even just gaming, an AMD Ryzen 5000 CPU is still the best option. Everything from the 5600X to the ludicrously powerful 5950X offer the best gaming and productivity performance. Intel's options are becoming more affordable to make them more competitive, which might make them worth it. But for raw power, AMD holds the lead.